I'd have to go back and watch the replay to see what we could have done different.
Being a NASCAR fan sometimes feels like you're always one headline away from your jaw hitting the floor. 1 minute Bubba Wallace is sitting second in the Cup standings, running the best racing of his career, and the next minute everything about his future just changed completely. And today we have a story that is going to hit different for 23XI racing fans because this one involves a decision that nobody saw coming. A move so big that NASCAR itself had to confirm it. And honestly, when you hear the full story, you're going to understand exactly why Bubba Wallace made this call and why it changes everything for 23XI racing going forward. Let's start with where Bubba Wallace actually stands right now, because context matters here. Heading into this week, Wallace is sitting second in the NASCAR Cup Series standings, just 70 points behind his own teammate, Tyler Reddick. That gap tells you everything about how dominant 23XI racing has been to open 2026. Reddick swept the first 3 races of the season at Daytona, Atlanta, and Coda, 3 straight wins to start the year. But Wallace was not far behind. He posted finishes of 10th, 8th, and 11th in those same 3 races, his best start to a season in his entire Cup career. And it is not like Wallace has been building toward this moment for nothing. In 2025, he went to Indianapolis Motor Speedway and won the Brickyard 400, one of the most iconic races on the NASCAR calendar. And he did it with his wife Amanda and his son Bex standing right there in victory lane beside him. That image told the whole story of where Bubba Wallace was as a driver and as a person. He also signed a multi-year contract extension with 23XI Racing, cementing his future with the team that Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan built around him from day one. Everything was pointing up. Everything looked locked in. So what exactly happened? To understand the full picture, you have to go back to last weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Wallace finished 6th in the Straight Talk Wireless 500, which is still a strong result in one of the most competitive fields NASCAR has put together in years. But the real story from that race is what happened on pit road. Wallace was penalized for speeding on pit road by just 0.08 miles per hour over the speed limit. 0.08 miles per hour. That is the margin. Because of that penalty, Wallace was sent to the tail end of the field, which cost him track position and almost certainly a better finish than 6th. He was not alone. 8 drivers total were penalized for pit road speeding that day, including 2-time Cup Series champions Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson. But the margin on Wallace's penalty was the number that made everyone stop and stare. The weirdest moment of the entire race, though, belonged to Ty Dillon, who received a penalty listed as removing equipment from the assigned pit area. What actually happened was that Dillon's number 10 car left pit road with the fuel can still attached to the vehicle and drove an entire lap around the 1-mile oval at Phoenix with it hanging off the car. Nothing dangerous happened, and that is the biggest relief. In the end, Ryan Blaney survived all the chaos to take the win for Team Penske, making it the first race of 2026 where 23XI Racing did not visit victory lane. But the 0.08 miles per hour penalty on Wallace is the detail that fans will not stop talking about, and honestly, is the kind of thing that sets up the bigger story perfectly. Because the real story here is not about pit road penalties. It is about family. Bubba Wallace and his wife Amanda are expecting their second child, a baby girl, and the due date lands right around one of the biggest races on the upcoming schedule. Wallace missed the birth of his first child, his son Bex Hayden Wallace, who was born in September 2024. He was racing that Sunday while Amanda was in the hospital. In his own words, it was actually Amanda's call at the time. She told him that winning was too important to miss. Bex arrived on a Sunday at 2 p.m., and Wallace had to live with that. This time, he made a different decision. Ahead of the 2026 Daytona 500, Wallace was direct about it. "We've made the decision. I unfortunately missed the birth of my first kid. I'm not missing the second one," Wallace told Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic. He went further. "I don't get another kid. I can get another race next week. I will be missing a race if it comes down to that. And that's it, final." Those are not the words of someone who is unsure. That is a locked-in decision, and NASCAR and the racing world have taken it seriously. The precedent for how this plays out already exists. In 2025, 2311 co-owner Denny Hamlin missed the NASCAR Cup Series race in Mexico City after the birth of his son. NASCAR granted Hamlin a waiver to maintain his playoff eligibility, and he went on to nearly win the 2025 Cup Series championship. That situation confirmed that the birth of a child is an accepted personal reason under NASCAR's waiver rules, and it makes a strong case that Wallace would receive the same treatment if he misses a race. Now here is where things get logistically interesting. Wallace's spotter, Freddie Kraft, appeared on the Door Bumper Clear podcast and explained that 2311 Racing has not one, not two, but three separate backup plans in place, depending on exactly how the timing plays out. He's going to have a baby here in the next month. We're making plans for him, probably missing a race if he has to, Kraft said. Plan A is Corey Heim. If the team has advance notice that Wallace will miss a race, Heim is the most likely replacement. But there is a complication. Heim and Wallace do not share the same cockpit fit, which means the team needs at least a full day of preparation to adjust the number 23 Toyota before Heim could drive it. In Kraft's own words, if everything goes and Bubba's going to be gone, and we know he's going to be gone, it's going to be Corey probably, I would assume, and you got a day to get ready and prepare the cockpit for Corey. Plan B covers a more urgent scenario. If Amanda goes into labor just hours before a race, Wallace would have to leave immediately, and in that case the team would turn to a driver who can slot into the car without major adjustments. Plan C involves Ryan Truex, the younger brother of 2017 Cup champion Martin Truex Jr., who was already on standby at Atlanta when Tyler Reddick was not feeling well before that race. Truex was there last week because Tyler was not feeling well before the Atlanta race. So he was there in case, Kraft confirmed. The race at the center of all of this is the Sport Clips Haircuts 200 at Darlington Raceway on March 22nd. That date lines up almost exactly with Amanda's due date, which is why Darlington is the race the entire NASCAR world is watching right now. From a championship standpoint, the stakes could not be higher. Under NASCAR Cup Series rules, a driver who misses a race without a waiver loses playoff eligibility. But with a waiver granted, which, based on Hamlin's 2025 situation, is almost certain, Wallace remains eligible. The issue is the points gap. Wallace currently sits 70 points behind Reddick. A missed race, even with a waiver, means a replacement driver is behind the wheel of the number 23 Toyota, and no replacement is going to score the points that Bubba Wallace would have scored himself. That gap to Reddick will almost certainly grow. The waiver protects the playoff spot. It does not protect the momentum. 2311 Racing is, right now, the most dominant organization in NASCAR. Reddick and Wallace running first and second in the standings is a statement few teams in the sport's history have been able to make this early in a season. Wallace brought the team its first win at Talladega in 2021, then won at Kansas Speedway in 2022, and delivered the Brickyard 400 in 2025. Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin built this program around him, and the multi-year extension proves that relationship is long-term. But what Bubba Wallace is doing right now is reminding the entire sport that a racing career, no matter how successful, does not outrank being a father. He missed Bex's birth. He is not missing his daughters. I wasn't there, he said, describing the moment people find out he missed his son's birth. And then you see their look on their faces, they're like, oh, that look is the reason he made this call. And every NASCAR fan watching this season, whether they follow the number 23 Toyota or not, understands exactly what that means.